this. So thank you, Tara, for doing that. Thank you, Seychelle. Thank you, Robert. I appreciate it so much. Can we start? I'm going to just start in the order of my screen. So Seychelle, can you just open up, tell us a little bit about your team, your business, what does it look like, agent to admin ratio, stuff like that.
Yeah. First off, thanks for having us, you guys. We're so excited to be here. And Robert and Tara, I'm honored to be on this with you guys. Y'all are amazing. So I have my notes ready to take notes from you. So I'm super pumped. So we're based here in Dallas, Fort Worth. We have been with Keller Williams since our anniversary date is actually September 11th, 2001. That was our first day in business. So 9/11 was our anniversary date. And we did 76 or 72.6 million last year, 176 home sales. So far this year, we're sitting at 34 million, 73 booked in so far. And we run kind of a lean and mean crew. So we have on the agent side, we have 4 buyer's agents, we have 2 listing agents. And then we've been using the showing agent model for almost 9 years. So we have, we call them market specialists, but we have 4 showing agents. And then we have 4 full-time admin, 3 virtual admin, and 4 of us that I would say are either in like the coaching aspect, the lead generation aspect, or some form of a little bit more of like some we have that we've helped retire that are more part-time. And then I have a daughter that's 7, named Quinn, who's awesome, and a husband. I should mention that. That would be nice if I didn't. So
Nick would appreciate that greatly. Yes,
yeah, I appreciate that. And then we also launched last year a podcast in conjunction with KW called Empire Building, which is all about building a big business and an even bigger life, more importantly. And we just hit about 125,000 downloads on that. So that's really fun.
Awesome. Thank you, Say. Robert, tell us a little about your business.
Oh, it's funny. I didn't realize how close the volumes that Seychelle and I have. I mean, they're almost mimic. And that's a good transition to our conversation because I always like to talk about our team to put some perspective in it. We do run, of course, I run the SWR group, and we run what some people would consider to be one of the largest teams in the country. But I'm always very quick to tell everybody, I'm like, yeah, but it's not like you think. It's not like, we have about 125 agents across the state, mostly primarily in Dallas, Fort Worth. And it's not like we have 125 agents that are doing like $5 billion. In fact, Seychelle's volumes are very similar to mine. Last year, we ran just about 75 million statewide. In fact, we sold 235 units, which obviously her dollar is a lot higher per house than ours. And even this year, she's trending very close to the same thing. I think we're just at 20 million, thanks to last month was a very good month for us, one of the better months that we've had. But a lot of people would sit there and say that the team that we run should have these massive numbers. And one thing Keller Williams will do is it humbles you to be a part of it, because one of the reasons I came back in after running an independent firm for so long is that when you run an independent firm, you think you have things so great, you've built this thing, but you're really not that much greater than some of the massive ones in Keller Williams. So you almost want to be a part of it so that you can improve yourself. And that's exactly what we did. We brought in an independent team a couple of years ago. We were considered to be the largest transition independent firm, I think, in any history of Keller Williams. And it has been nothing but probably the best thing I've ever done. This story is very unique, and we'll talk about some of those things. I'm sure the questions will gear it, but it's really interesting on how we have gone through and changed it. As far as structure goes, and this is something important, and it's also something that I thought was interesting on being asked to be on this panel, because, like I said, the people that were on this panel with, these are some just mega great agents and probably more important people, but we do things very different than the average Keller Williams agent, the average Keller Williams team. In fact, I've almost asked Gary to reclassify what the team is, because we're not anything like what Seychelle was talking about, the cannons, or we don't run a structured where, you have Rainmaker and you have a director of ops, and then you have a senior, your listing agents, your showing agents, and your transact. We don't do any of that. The crew that we have in place all run independently. We create an operational support system that is probably unlike anything else that's out there, that's centered around, focused completely on them. And the value add that we have inside that group is really focused on being at their beck and call 24/7 on every single thing they do, from whether it's training, from whether it's support, all that type of stuff. So our presence here is very different. And I think it's good to be on these types of panels because it does give an option to somebody else that you don't have to run a traditional type of team in Keller Williams to have a team or a mega team. So we are very different that way.
Thank you, Robert. That's awesome. Yes, that's one of the beauties of KW, right? Is you get to kind of build your business your way. Tara.
Hello from, well, representing New Mexico. Say my anniversary with KW is actually April 1st. We moved to KW on April Fool's Day, so I was very excited to just celebrate that 2012. So, and I serve vacation home markets of Taos, Angel Fire, and Red River, New Mexico. So definitely some unique factors in the market that we serve. The population that I started my team in and ran my team out of Angel Fire, New Mexico for the first 5+ years was 2,800 people. 2,800 people is the population. Half of them were full-timers and half of them were vacation home owners. Started a mega agent office there, realized obviously that we needed to expand. When you start to approach 50% market share, it's a very unhealthy, high risk business model. So we expanded into Taos and Red River, which is all just right there in our region. So we are currently serving a population of 30,000 people. Woo! And we did 252 units last year, 90 million in volume, 2.7 in GCI, 29% profits. We're really focusing on that profit number these days. And my team structure, gosh, we've definitely tweaked and just modified and pivoted as we needed to. I do run buyer specialists and seller specialists. That's really important for me in my very small market, high market share. Our clients love that value prop because it removes that conflict of interest that you have when you have high market share. So that's been great for us. And it's really just that team of specialist model. So I think we're 17 right now. I'm sorry, I should know that number. I think we're 17 right now, total team members. I've been out of production since 2018. I have a leadership team. So I've got operations, sales, and marketing directors. So high level, 6-figure salary leaders in the company. You guys, you can do this no matter what market you're in, I'm telling you. So 9 agents, 3 people on the leadership team, plus myself. And I think that, and then 2 in-person admin and 2 or 3 VAs, 3 VAs.
So there you go, guys. If y'all want to set a new goal for your business, it's to sell 1 home to every 100 people in your market area.
That's just freaking awesome. That's so cool.
That is.
All right. So I know when people are thinking about building a team, are looking at streamlining their business, looking at going to the next level of a team, there's many common questions I get asked, guys, in doing that. And so one of the ones I would like to ask, so several of these are the ones that I always get asked as I'm coaching people, consulting people. I'd love to hear what y'all's take are. I'll start with you, Tara, since we finished there, and we'll just kind of pick up with that. So when do you know it's time to add a team member to your team? What do you look for? What's going on when it's time to add either admin or agent or any member of your team?
I would love to give you like an easy, simple answer to that, Tommy, but I find that it is really hard. I always go back to something that Gary said, which was when you have a pebble in your shoe, it's either the people, the processes, or the training. But let's face it, it's always a combination. And I've since added to that list of people, processes, and training, leadership, because it could be my leadership too. And, I wish that I could say that as I've grown to 17, I grew from 3 to 17 when I started this team in January of 2016, I think. Jema might remember. So about 5 years. And I wish I could tell you that history of going from 3 to 17 would have pinpointed exactly when I know, but I got to tell you, a lot of the time I just grew out of sheer stubbornness and I just wanted to be the best. And I had this, like, if she can do it, I can do it. I idolized Seychelle. I mean, like, anybody that has done it, I just wanted to do it. I just wanted to be better and I wanted that next thing. I'm not saying do that. Learn from my mistake. And, you know, when we always lead with leads. So when conversion rates start to go down and there's too many leads for what the agents can handle, that's always been a time where we've known that we need those agents. We're really dialing in like the number of leads per agent per month that we need. And that's beautiful. When you're growing your team or starting your team, please start with some of that data. It's so, so, so important. On the operations side, you know, growing the team there as far as admin and knowing when we need them, it's just constantly drowning the duck, you know, just surround those people and so that they have every opportunity to really grow into it first. And then when they start saying that they need the work and they start getting really creative about what specifically they need, like when you get the right feedback from the team, that's been really critical for me in knowing, oh, now we need this specific role, not just another body, but this specific specialty. You know, like a lead coordinator is kind of the next on my list right now. And that's coming from a pain point in the business as well as a bandwidth thing. But be careful, I've used to throw money at problems by hiring more people. And I wasn't always going to the efficiency or the systems or my leadership.
Love that. Thank you for that. Seychelle, having been your team leader for several years, and I don't know if you can see yourself on this, but it's awesome how the wind just blows your hair like you're in a music video.
You look like you're a model.
I am having to sit outside. It is, when you talk about how do you know you need to grow, our house is getting cleaned right now. And so I'm like a castaway out on a patio because leverage is so important. And you know, you were talking about how do you know when to grow? I actually posted a question for Tara in the chat, but you know, I've always found when you have done all that you can do with all the time that you are willing to give, and you have maxed yourself out, it's time for one of two things. And Tara said it really beautiful. She added a couple things to it, but you're either missing a person or a system. And I always, when we would grow, I would try to add systems first. I can fake it for a short period of time in an operational mindset, and then my bandwidth runs out. And so that's where like key people really help. But I found for us, it was add admin first and then add salespeople second. But I think the other big piece of that is like super mindful for me is it's got to be the right person, the right opportunity, and the right time. And so if one of those doesn't line up, you're going to find yourself getting the job back with whatever that role is. And the easiest way that I have found whenever I'm in a pain point and I have said yes to too many things and I have too much on my plate, or I am at a max capacity, is actually in my little red notebook, I keep a list when I do something that I don't either A, like to do, or B, shouldn't be doing because it's below my dollar per hour, or I'm finding myself stalling on doing something and procrastinating on it because it's not something I enjoy. I actually make a not to do list. And I keep a not to do list running in my notepad. And anytime I'm doing something that I don't love to do, I add it to my not to do list. And what that becomes is a job description for my next hire. And so that's what all of our team members do. And you know, it's time, like Tara said, she's got a leadership team. We have a leadership team as well. When it's time for those people to hire, it's the same thing. It's when they have done all they can do with all the time that they can give it, it's time to leverage with profitability and add that next person. And they need to look hard at what that job description is.
Love that. Love that. Robert, we've already talked about this. You run a very different conversation. You really are a broker within the market center, and you have specialized. You're one of the few people that has actually helped dual career team members become super successful, right? And so I know your when does it take some time to grow is a little bit of a different answer, right? You're pretty much, your model is, so tell us a little bit about that and your model from a growth perspective.
Well, it's funny, the dual career is what fuels it, and combined with the full-time agents and the part-time agents. What happened with with us, most people who run a mega team or a bigger team or any type of organization, you reach a plateau. Previous to this, 20 years before I was doing this, I worked with the executive team at Foot Locker, Foot Action USA, and Just for Feet as an accountant by birth. And, you get to where you reach plateaus. I was a young executive and I got tired of what I did so early. And I looked for something new. I got into real estate and I started to do well with it. And for me, what really made the transition into the team aspect was getting to where, and so I've gone through 3 of the swings, 2002, 2008, and then currently what we're going through right now. And you get to where you have worry sometimes and your production might be and you're used to making a certain amount of income and you want to continue to improve it. So you start looking at better ways that can happen. Well, for us, we had a system in place that it helped also as a longtime instructor, still am, been teaching for 15 years. And it helped understand how to put those training systems in place to bring somebody new on. Well, I started part-time when I got into this. In fact, I was being laid off from the nice people at Just for Feet. Now, sometimes you're thankful for the lowest points in your life because the lowest points become your highest points for them throwing me out in the street. So I had to do it part-time. And because I realized there were so many people out there that took the very similar path to what I did, I just mirrored what I had to go through and put it into a system that catered to that type of person. And it made it very easy to show people that were in those similar situations that it was easily done and you could have great success later. I'm very different in the fact that I am not you have to work 60 or 70 hours a week. And don't get me wrong, I love it when they do. Obviously, every minute you put into this, you have a better chance at succeeding. That's common sense. But there are a lot of people that only work 10 to 15 hours in this and do pretty damn good. And those are the people that we wanted to encourage because we realized if they had just a little bit of a time window that they could show some success, they might eventually do this from a full-time agent. And that is really one of the benefits of what we do at SWR. We take someone in part-time and we give them a little taste of what they can have. And then they see that they can make just as much working 60 hours a week, working 10 hours a week, and then they eventually make that transition. And SWR is always a 50-50. It's half the crew's part-time, half the crew's full-time. And I like to believe it's because those people transition at some point and they realize I can do this much better than what I'm doing right now. So we have systems in place that cater to that individual to encourage them. Our pitch to most people is that whether you want to be trained inside the office or outside the office, it doesn't matter to me. And you're right. We did take it really is running a brokerage inside of another brokerage. We took all of the Keller Williams kingdom and we just took SWR and stuck it right in there and said, which one's easier for you? Because you got all of them. So let's just use all the systems in place.
Love that. All right. So the most common question that I hear when I hold mega agent masterminds and facilitate those, or when I get questions about you guys and they say things like, what does Tara do? It is always in regards to what does accountability look like on your team? So say we'll start with you. What does accountability look like on Van Pool Properties?
So I would first say that we don't hire people that don't want to be accountable. We hire self-motivated people. So like, I'm not in the business of begging somebody to get out of bed, to come to work every day and want to be here. So like, one of our core values is like, we look for fast-paced, learning-based, self-motivated people who want to have fun and a servant heart. So I'm not interested in being in a relationship with anyone that doesn't want to grow, that doesn't want to learn, and doesn't want to be held accountable. So that's probably number one. But I would say from the physical structure of it, we look at metrics first. There's a couple of key standards that we look for. And that's activity based, because we know if we can get your activity in the right direction, then we can play with the conversion rates, which will then drive the results that you want to have. So around the actual like standards, it's 100 contacts a week for prospecting, and that can be, you choose what type it is. So it can be networking, door knocking, open houses, cold calling past clients and friends, PTA, I don't care what it is, but it's 100 voice to voice or conversations around real estate. And then it's a minimum of 2 contracts written a month. Those are kind of our 2 key standards. And then when it comes to metrics that we look for from a schedule, we work to control the morning schedule because that's when we know that that's the easiest time to control from like our productivity. And the afternoons are a lot more flexible. So every morning we have 8:30 script practice, 9 to 10:30 lead generation, a 10:30 huddle. And then once a week, we have our partner gathering, which is our weekly team meeting, a one-to-one coaching or accountability where we're really helping you to like our vision and our mission is to help our team members become happier, healthier, and wealthier because we chose to work together. And so that one-to-one is really geared around personal growth, business growth, accomplishing your personal dreams and business goals. And then we have we have a pipeline coach actually that we work with on Fridays, which is really fun. And that's our whole team working around like, are we getting where we want to go as a group to accomplish our goals? But that's really, it's all in the morning. The afternoon, it's actually very flexible.
And so do you do those, or do you host those one-on-ones with your team members on Mondays that y'all do? I know a lot of them are on Mondays because I feel like I call you on Mondays and you're always in the
Yeah, it's there's 3 of us on the team that hold one-to-ones with different team members depending on who it is. So like I stack all of mine on Mondays. Yep. So anybody I front load the week and make sure that that's one of the most important things that I can do outside of lead generation is make sure that my team members are getting the time and attention that they need. That's actually, I had a really big like failure last year around leadership and it caused some turnover on our team. And it really was around missing my one-to-one meetings with my team members, or in KW, we also call them 411s. And wasn't that I didn't care about the team members. We just both thought like, am I good? You're good. We're good. And then the next week, am I good? You're good. We're good. And after a period of several weeks of not having those, you wake up and each week you've just moved 1 degree apart and not realized it, right? So I don't miss those. So that's why it's on Monday, because it's the most important thing I get done every week is making sure we are actually good every week.
And then your pipeline coach, is that a group session?
Yeah, when we had some turnover last year, one of the biggest holes right on my not to-do list is that I don't love doing pipeline management. And so when I look for people, like I think Tara said it too, I look for someone who wakes up every day loving leading people in their pipeline management and really understanding like, who do I need to help move the pipe through the pipeline in order to write the business we need to write or to accomplish their goals. And so we hired a KW Maps coach, actually. His name's Fritz Pollard. He's freaking awesome. And we actually have, through our last year of experimentation with them, they've actually created like a whole division of pipeline coaches now for KW. But that was really out of a pain point for me personally, knowing I could do that and fake it for about a month and a half or 2 months. I could do it well. But after about the 2-month mark, I knew I wasn't going to want that role anymore. And so if I'm being honest, right, it was on my not to do list. So we found somebody that wakes up every day loving that and doing that really, really well. And I think it served us much better having Fritz helping us with that. And then I'm on the call every week. I don't skip it. But he leads it. He leads the team on it.
Robert.
And so, accountability is completely different because of the structure. We don't have, people. I loved, when she's talking in New Mexico about her leadership, where these guys, she has 3 people that are, at 100K and up. I mean, that's such a completely different model. And I'm so like in awe of having those types of people and that type of responsibility. Ours are running their own type of thing. And where the accountability for us comes into play is if they ask us to give them that type of accountability. I am not the type. In fact, when I bring them on, I'll tell them, hey, look, I don't care whether you sell 1 house or 1,000. I'm here to help you as much as you want to be helped. And I'm the one that's at your beck and call. So if you call me, I'm the one that has to answer it. Now, I will tell you, the ones that do want the accountability, I warn them. I'm like, hey, I'm the nicest guy, but if you want it, I'll give it to you. Probably not the way you want to hear it. And I think the one that frustrates me the most, more than anything, is when I get someone who comes in and the number one's always leads. Leads are always, then God, I just wish you could scratch it off as someone's excuse for why they're not good at something. And it's always like, I'm not getting enough leads. I'm not doing anything. Well, the operations manual that I have in place, there's over 100 lead generation items in there, and they're prioritized that the top 10 are on the first page. So any of those people that ever tell me that, I'll bring them in and I'll sit there and I'll pull it out and I'll look down. I go, all right, well, which ones have you been doing? Or that you do more than other? And then they just sit there and stare at it. I'm like, you're kidding me. I go, you came in here to talk to me about leads, and you can't even do the first page of the 10. And then if it's a veteran agent, I'm like, you should have been doing all the 20 of them multiple times. So from an accountability standpoint, if they ask for it, they'll get it terribly bluntly, but I don't like to give it to them unless they want it. So it's a different structure. We don't want to have the accountability on those people that are really doing this for different reasons. I can't hold a part-timer that has a 70-hour-a-week job who's actually an executive. We have a lot of those too, to an accountability standpoint. Their accountability is on their own. They answer to themselves. My job is when they want me to answer for them, then I have to be involved.
Love that, Robert. That's awesome. Tara, so I know we talked a little bit, the accountability on your team, your big focus right now is in the realm of leadership, right? So and kind of one of my questions that's on here, I'll go to that. And when we talk, one of the things I asked you guys, what's the most important thing you do in your business each day? And you kind of told me I spend all my time on my leaders. So explain that, describe that, talk a little bit about how that works in your team.
Sure. So, just like say it's, Mondays, making sure I get it done every single week is the most important thing of the week. So I do one-on-ones with the leadership team. They are an hour each for each of the three, and every single week. And then we also have our leadership team meeting on Mondays. So that whole day is pretty much dedicated to those three leaders and how they're going to move the needle that week. A lot like Robert is saying, and Seychelle, like I got the right people in these roles first because they are self-accountable, they are self-driven. I do have a profit share model for this leadership team, which is an amazing like sideways accountability for, in and of itself, right? So they are highly accountable people, they're highly driven people in that regard, but just like Robert, I still have to get their permission every single time. Can I hold you accountable to this, right? Because the best way that I lead this leadership team, Tommy, is to stop making statements and only ask questions, right? So when I ask questions, I get what they want to do, what they need for their department, and I learn all of that. And then I ask another question, which is, okay, how are you going to do it? Okay, can I hold you accountable to that? What would you like to see in the accountability? So, that's a huge part of it. And just the more that you are pouring into the people on your team, it doesn't matter what role they're in, honestly. If you're just pouring into them, they are going to build your business. What is that quote? I think it's like Zig Ziglar. We don't build businesses, we build people, and they build businesses. And now, all of that said, there are KPIs for ops director, sales director, marketing, right? So we are tracking, how many leads are coming in, what is the cost per lead, where are we on the budget for marketing, how many are converting to appointments. That's all under marketing. Sales, we're tracking how many one-on-ones are you having so that they're having the, sales directors having the one-on-ones with the agents, tracking the pipeline, tracking the production. And then ops is tracking so much. I mean, just all of it. Like how many pendings are we carrying? How many phone calls are coming in? How many, like they track so much so that we can, that operation is just, that's the hub of the whole business. And then for agents, it's that simple KPI stuff. It's up on the TVs, it's on the screens, it's there every day. It's all of the KPIs that we all know and love and hate. And they're just up in visual all the time. I do one-on-ones with 3 of my senior agents, but all of the other agents do their one-on-ones with the sales directors.
Love that. All right, guys, that time flew by super fast, and I'm sure we're going to be a minute or two late on all of them here. And I do want, as we roll out, Robert, I'm going to go to you real quick, and I want real quick answer. What's the one thing you've done that we all need to do?
I think you need to be open-minded to the agents that we're bringing in. You can't just be one set. Anybody's capable of doing this. It just depends on what stage we put them at. They might not want to be what you think they want them to be right now, but you can let them get in, give them a taste of it. They can completely change their attitude. Most of the best realtors are ones that probably never thought they'd be real estate agents. We want to make sure we open the door to all those people and give them the chance to perform and become a very good real estate agent.
Love that, Robert. Tara, what's one thing you've done that we all need to do?
Decide and know and be very, very clear on what you want out of this industry and how it fits into your life. This business can be done a million different ways, and none of them are right and none of them are wrong. You get to decide what works for you, your strengths and your weaknesses, what works for your market, what works for your team, and what works for your lifestyle. So keep trying all of the different things, and then find the parts that fit, and know that there's just no limit on what can be done or how it can be done.
Appreciate it. That's awesome. Say, what have you done that we all need to do?
I think the more I give myself permission to get clear on who I am and what I want my business to look like, the easier everything else became. And it took me, I don't know, way too long, probably 10 years to get to the point where I really felt comfortable in my own skin. But the more clear I got around my core values and around wanting for us, right, happy, healthy, wealthy, really getting clear around what that looks like for us, the easier it became for us to grow, because we were growing with the right people in the right seats.
Thank you, Say. Thank you, Robert. Thank you, Tara. You guys are incredible.
Love you guys.
We're gonna
Y'all are
pass.
awesome. Great job.